3.4 versus 4.1. Depends on who you ask, but you know, that little bit of inches may matter, may not matter to some of you guys, but good afternoon, folks. ZP002 here, Chris Bartagone back from ZERT to talk today about a little comparison video. We're going to do a Glock comparison video. I've done a video in the past, guys, about my EDC, which right now is the Glock 48 MOS. Some of you have heard the story of my situation with my SIG macro, and I have not had a chance to get back to the range to put that through its paces to see if we can go back to carrying that. But in that downtime of that SIG being down till now, we have gone back to the Glock 48 MOS. Pretty stock with the exception of the TTI spring kit inside, but I did start carrying this again. Have not had any issues with the Glock 48. So before everyone starts asking, it is a clear firearm, it is empty, and we are good to go. On the table in front of me, we have the 48 and the 43X. What can you say about Glocks is that they're reliable and that they work. Both come with single stack 10-round magazines, and there is a replacement for those, obviously with shield arms. Today's video isn't so much about either one of these in particular, but more why there are a lot more people out there and a lot more videos out there on the 43X being the everyday choice to carry over the 48. Now, both of these firearms come MOS compatible. They both have a rail that supports the Streamlight TLR 7 sub, which is on both of them. And outside of that, from the frame down, obviously they are identical firearms. They both have the same grip length. What you lose with the 43X, you gain, in my opinion, with the 48 MOS. Now, this is the second 48 that I have, and I never went and got the 43 because, to me, the shorter sight picture and the sight radius didn't really make a lot of sense. Now, does that come into play when you are using a red dot? I mean, it is what it is. I've always been a fan of the longer barrel because obviously you have a more accurate firearm, a less snappy firearm. We are talking about 9mm here, folks. So if you're out there training every day and you're shooting, or not every day, but if you're training often and you are understanding the fundamentals of shooting and you're working on those, you mitigate recoil the best that you can. But having a longer barrel never hurt. The biggest downside to having the longer barrel is concealability, but both of these firearms are, first of all, single stack, so they're slimline, so it is a little bit more comfortable for anybody out there who wants to appendix carry, and maybe you're on the bigger side like me and you want to have that little bit of a slimmer profile. But again, 10-round magazine for both. The shield arm magazine fits both of these, so you can kind of take that out of the equation when it comes to capacity. Barrel length on the 43X is 3.1, and barrel length on the 43X is 3.41, and the barrel length on the 48 is 4.17, okay? The reason why the 48 has the Holosun EPS carry on it and the 43X does not is because I no longer am carrying this firearm. For me, it didn't make any sense once I got the 48 MOS. The part that becomes an issue when concealed carrying is everything underneath the belt line, okay? So this is the same as this. So there's no difference when you get past the belt, right? They're both the same grip length. So the only difference becomes what's underneath the belt and that additional length of barrel. Now, 3.4 versus 4.1. Depends on who you ask, but you know, that little bit of inches may matter, may not matter to some of you guys. But for today's video and for the topic of carrying these firearms, they don't matter for me for comfortability. I prefer the longer slide, the longer sight picture, the longer sight radius, even though we are talking about a firearm that is utilizing a red dot optic. Both of these are using the Talon grips. I prefer those. This is the rubberized version of it instead of the little bit more coarse. Now, both of these firearms can be juiced up, so to speak, over at Alpha Dog Arms. You can get some great custom Glock work done over there, and ZERT members do get discounts. So if you do have a Glock, whether it's a 43X, a 48 MOS, whether it's a 19 or a 17 or anything in between, you can get them customized over at Alpha Dog Arms, whether it's slide cuts, whether it is their EG1, which is a hot new item that gives you basically the longer slide with a comped barrel, comp slide and a ported barrel, and that we've done a video on that. If you're looking for that, we'll try and link it up here somewhere so you guys can see what that is all about. So this is just, I guess this would be an op-ed piece or just a small opinion piece on the difference between the 43X and the 48. And like I said at the top of this, I'm confused as to why people are choosing the 43X as their carry option over the 48. And I've seen some people go as far as putting a threaded barrel with a comp on the front of this, which gives you the same, obviously the same length as the 48. Now, I say that, and I do understand the purpose of having a comped barrel when it comes to reducing that muzzle flip and that snappiness that you would get out of this firearm. But to me, you reduce that when you go with the longer barrel. Now, I shoot often. I don't shoot as much as I want to. I have not actually taken a class with this 48, but I have taken this to the range and performed drills, and I feel very confident and comfortable with my 48. The difference between the 48 and the P365 macro obviously comes down to 2 additional rounds, where the macro is a 17 round flush fit, where the 48 is a 10 round, and then you have a 15 round option, but you are not using an OEM magazine. I know that there have been people that have put the Shield Arms magazine through its paces and through its tests, and I have not had a chance to do that yet. So until I do, I carry it with the Glock OEM magazine. Not to mention, in Connecticut, we do have a crappy Second Amendment chokehold on us where we can't have normal magazines here. With that being said, though, folks, at the end of the day, if you have the option to carry a 48 and outside of the state of Connecticut, and you can choose a Shield Arms magazine and you've run it through your paces, please let us know what that looks like down in the comments. I do know that the senior chief, our instructor out in California, Jamie Franks, has put his 48 MOS through its paces, and the thing is running like a champ, even with those Shield Arms magazines. So take that for what you will, and I'm sure he's probably got a video about it out there, and we hope to have some more videos of us shooting this 48 upcoming soon. But as I said, this is an opinion piece based off of my experience, and I would love to hear from anybody out there who has carried the 43X and chosen that over the 48. I don't see why someone would choose the smaller package versus the longer sight picture and the longer sight radius of the 48 MOS. But as we always say, it's a personal opinion and it's a personal choice, and that's what I choose. You guys may have different reasons for doing it, and that's why I put this out there. I want to get the information out from me, and so someone may look at this and listen to this and say, oh, you know what, I never really thought about that, or somebody's already done this research on their own, and then they can come back and provide me a little bit of information. But I'm going to keep putting this content out there as we continue to bring it in. We continue to try new guns. I do have a couple new videos coming out, one on the SIG MCX regulator and then one on the SIG macro, and hopefully it will contain some training or some drills, running some drills with it to ensure that it does not have any future malfunctions. That is an important piece, and whether you carry a Glock, whether you carry a Smith & Wesson or a SIG or something else that we did not list here, that I did not list here, it's important to ensure that your everyday firearm functions properly and you do not have any malfunctions when it comes down to the wire and having to use that firearm. You should have some kind of routine that you check your everyday carry, whether it's dry firing with it beforehand, whether it is going to the range and making sure that you cycle through your defensive ammunition, have some kind of program in place that makes sure that when you pull that firearm in a case that you need it in a self-defense situation, it goes off without any questions, and you don't have to worry about what happens if you don't. Obviously, you probably have worked on malfunction drills in the past, and if you haven't, you should incorporate that into your daily training or your routine, but we want these things to work when we need them. So that's the whole point of it. Now, with that being said, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and it not work. So it's a little bit of amend on that whole cliche out there, or that little saying, but it is true. You want this thing to work when you need it. So whatever you guys carry, make sure you are checking that daily and you have a routine in place. Okay, guys, until next time, ZP002 out. You guys stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Later.